Good morning, everybody. Pastor Steve with you for the Wednesday of Holy Week. And throughout Holy Week, Scripture has different things that Jesus did, starting on Palm Sunday with the triumphal entry. And we have Monday and Tuesday. Tomorrow we have Holy Thursday, Maundy Thursday, which is the day of the Great Commandment and the Last Supper. Good Friday, obviously, is the day of crucifixion, and we're leading to Easter Sunday. But here we are on Hump Day, the middle of the week. And this is known as the Day of Silence, because putting all of the scriptural narratives together, we really can't definitively say what Jesus said or did on the Wednesday of the last week of his life. So I want to use that theme a little bit, the Day of Silence and Jesus being silent. And by the time he gets on trial for his life, there are any number of questions and challenges presented to him, either by the chief priest or by Herod or by Pontius Pilate himself. And Jesus does not respond. Jesus doesn't answer. He remains silent. If you look with me in John chapter 19, in verse 9, Pilate goes back inside the palace. "Where do you come from?" Pilate asked Jesus. But Jesus gave him no answer. He remained silent. And I think there are times in all of our lives, and maybe this is one of those times, where we wish God would get a lot louder. That maybe he's a little too quiet, a little too silent for our liking. You know what? Quiet and silence makes us uncomfortable. We're not used to it. We don't do quiet really well anymore. We always have to have, music on in the background or something on the TV or on the screen. We bombard our senses with all sorts of stimuli. So the very idea of being silent is a real challenge for us. Well, now back to God. When God is silent, that's when it gets scary. But in reality, there aren't too many times where God is actually totally silent. It might just be that there's too many other noises, too many other distractions, too many other stimuli going on around us that we can't hear what God is trying to say, what he's trying to tell us. This is what happened with Elijah. If you look in 1 Kings chapter 19, Elijah is now in fear of his life. And the Lord tells him in verse 11, "Go out and stand on the mountain in the presence of the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by." So then a great and powerful wind tore the mountains apart and shattered the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. After the fire came a gentle whisper. You see, we got lots of big scary noises going on, don't we? And we wish God would be loud and clear. But the problem isn't with God's voice. It's with our ears and what we are listening to, what we are tuning into. God is speaking. God is working. He is doing. He is showing. He is leading. He is loving. And he is saving. So the voice of the shepherd still speaks. The sheep need to listen to his voice. Need to listen for his voice in the midst of all the noise. I want to take you into Psalm 46. This was the psalm that served as the basis for Luther's great hymn, "A Mighty Fortress." But picking up at verse 8, "Come and see what the Lord has done, the desolations he has brought on the earth. He makes wars cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the shields with fire." And then in verse 10 he says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress." If you're not hearing God clearly at this point, in this time, in this season, well then, maybe you and I need to take a little time to just be still, to know that God is still God. So So what I'd like to do, I want to make you a little uncomfortable. I'm going to give us a minute of stillness, of quiet, of silence. And during that minute, you can pray, you can read Psalm 46 or John chapter 18 and 19. Just be still and let that whisper of the shepherd speak to his precious lamb. Let that voice of Jesus find its way through all the din into your ears, into your mind, into your heart. Are you ready? Here we go. Amen. Seemed like an eternity, didn't it? 1 minute of silence. Did you run out of things to say, to tell God? He hasn't run out of things to tell you and me. We'll see you later on this week. God's blessings, my friend.